Customize, self-install, take control.
Replacing your current deadbolt with a Schlage connected touchscreen deadbolt will improve your home security and your peace of mind. And installation is so easy. Before we get started, we'll take a look at your current door alignment and dimensions. We'll keep a checklist of the questions we'll need answered. If you cannot check every box in the checklist, you'll need to adjust your door and/or frame. Because the bolt on this lock is extended automatically, it's important that the door and frame are properly aligned. Before removing the old lock and installing the BE468, check the operation of the deadbolt that will be replaced. You should be able to close and lock the door without pushing, pulling, or lifting the door. Your door alignment should stay the same with changing seasons. Remove any existing deadbolt and check frame and door dimensions. There should be a minimum of a 5-inch distance between the center of the deadbolt hole and the center of any other door latch below the deadbolt. Crossbore diameter should measure either 2 1/8 inches or 1.5 inches. The backset should measure either 2 3/8 inches or 2 3/4 inches from the door edge to the center of the crossbore. The thickness of the door should measure 1 3/8 inches to 1 3/4 inches. If you were unable to complete the checklist with all the boxes checked, or if you need additional information, visit answers.schlage.com or call Schlage customer service at 800-847-1864. With your door prep completed, you're ready to begin the installation. The only tools you'll need are a standard Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and a tape measure. You may also need a hammer and a block of wood if you'll be using the drive-in faceplate. We'll see more about that later. You can use a power screwdriver, but please do not use an electric drill to tighten screws, as it could easily over-tighten the screws, stripping the threads or even damaging the lock. Take a moment to familiarize yourself with the parts and components of the BE468 lock. All the parts and components that came with your BE468 lock are shown here. You'll be able to follow along using the installation instructions that were provided with the lock. Locate the instructions now and take a moment to locate the default codes that are shown in the upper right of the first page of the instructions. There is a 6-digit programming code and 2 4-digit preset user codes for your lock. You can also find these on the back of the interior assembly. You'll use these codes during the setup process after your lock is installed. You'll be installing the bolt first. Refer to the backset measurement you took earlier to determine the proper bolt length. If your door has a backset of 2 3/8 inches, no adjustment is necessary. If your door's backset is 2 3/4 inches, the bolt can be easily adjusted by simply twisting the faceplate, as shown here. The bolt comes with a pre-attached rectangular faceplate, but you can change to an optional drive-in faceplate if your door calls for it. If you're using the rectangular faceplate, just slide the bolt into place with the word top on the bolt facing upward and secure it with the screws provided. If you use the drive-in faceplate, tap it into place flush with the edge of the door, using a block of wood to protect the bolt. Now install the strike in the door frame. Install the reinforcement plate first, making sure the plate is oriented to the door correctly as indicated on the plate. Secure the plate with the long reinforcement screws. Install the strike plate over the reinforcement plate using the 2 shorter screws. From the inside, close the door and test the bolt alignment by inserting a flathead screwdriver into the slot in the bolt. Rotate the screwdriver a full 90 degrees toward the door edge to extend the bolt into the hole in the frame. This operation should be smooth with no dragging or hitting the top or bottom of the hole, and the bolt should be fully extended. Next, install the touchscreen assembly on the outside of the door. Align the tab on the tailpiece with the slot in the bolt, feeding the cable underneath the bolt. Clips on the assembly should snap into the crossbore to help hold the touchscreen in place while you secure it. Now install the support plate on the inside of the door, positioned as indicated by top and against door. Route the cable through the slot at the bottom. Make sure the touchscreen and support plate are straight on the door. While holding the touchscreen, tighten the screws to secure the support plate. To install the interior assembly, remove the battery cover by pushing up, but leave the battery tray in place. Be careful not to touch the circuit board, as this can damage the lock. Then connect the cable to the interior assembly, matching the white dot on the connector with the white dot on the circuit board. The connector will slide on smoothly. Now route the cable into the channel provided to keep it safe from getting pinched or crimped. Align the tab on the tailpiece with the slot on the interior assembly, and slide the interior assembly toward the door and onto the support plate. Secure the interior assembly to the support plate, inserting the lower and longer screw first, then the short screw at the top. Do not attempt to turn the thumb turn at this point. After the interior assembly is secured, unsnap the connector and remove the battery tray. Insert the batteries, ensuring proper polarity, and carefully replace the battery tray with the batteries facing the door. Reattach the connector and replace the battery cover onto the interior assembly. To set up the lock, keep the door open and press the Schlage button on the touchscreen, and then enter one of the default 4-digit user codes provided on the front of your user guide. The lock will perform a setup routine. The bolt will extend and retract. Wait until the bolt stops before continuing. Test the lock from the inside first by closing the door and rotating the thumb turn. The bolt should extend and retract smoothly. If the deadbolt drags while moving in or out of the strike, please adjust the strike for better alignment. Keep a key with you while testing the lock from the outside. Close the door with the bolt retracted in the unlocked position. Press the Schlage button. The bolt should extend and lock the door. With the door locked, enter one of the default user codes. The bolt should retract and unlock the door. Now you're ready to add the lock to your Z-Wave network. To include the lock, you must first put your Z-Wave controller into the inclusion mode. Follow the instructions provided with your Z-Wave controller, as they will vary depending on the manufacturer. With your controller in inclusion mode, enter the 6-digit programming code you located earlier on the instruction sheet. Then press 0, which will allow the lock and panel to communicate and complete the enrollment process. During the enrollment, an amber light in the lower right corner of the keypad will blink. Once complete, a green check mark in the lower left corner of the keypad will light, indicating a successful enrollment. With the lock enrolled, you'll now be able to manage lock functions through the web and phone applications. Your installation is complete. Visit answers.schlage.com or refer to your programming guide for more information.